and welcome to That's Girl Speaks. Today is Friday, March 2nd. Is that right? And this is episode 100. Oh, it's March 3rd, sorry. And this episode, I think it's 190. Let's say 2, but it might be 3. Hi, how are you? I'm Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry, and the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. This week's episode will be hopefully shorter than last week's, okay, or last time's, okay. I'm actually not going to talk about all of the knitting and spinning I've been doing. I'm just working on spinning. But I will talk a little bit about knitting, and I will talk a little bit about the knitting pipeline retreat, yay! And how I somehow ended up bringing more yarn home from there than I brought home from Rhinebeck. I'm not really sure how that happened. And then at the very end, I'll talk about I'm wounded. So I'll save that for the indication I'm interested, or like you don't want to hear like the full details. I'm okay. I get better every day, and I should be actually totally better in like a week to 10 days from now. So I'm fine. So yeah. Okay, let's talk about some stuff. Okay. Shameless self-promotion. I'll just do it really quickly. I'll put the picture in here. I'm going to have an update for pre-orders this weekend. So it's actually going to start as soon as I finish recording this. Probably should have done it before. Oops. I'll put up pre-orders for these granny square bags. There's a sweater size and an Aran sweater size. So those are the two biggest sizes I make. And I'm not doing it in smaller because the scale of the fabric doesn't quite work for a smaller size bag. But those pre-orders will go up in the shop. They will be up in the shop definitely through the morning of Monday the 6th. But maybe just a few days longer since I'm off in showing them to you because I delayed recording because I was ooky. So yeah, and that's like a true pre-order. Like I'm ordering the fabric, and so it's like a 4 to 6 week window. I know that's a long time. Hopefully, and really, it's usually closer to the shorter end of that window. But just in case there's an error with printing, or there's more demand than I anticipate, that's why I give the 4 to 6 weeks. But okay, so that's happening, and I don't have any plans. I will have another update soon, but I don't have definitive dates yet. So we'll record and stuff. And then also, if you've supported the show by making a donation. In January, February, and March, I will do drawings for that the first week of April, and I think I might do a surprise prize because I've already waited this long to show you. So now I'm like, well, heck, let's do surprise prize. So if you've donated to the podcast in any of those months, January, February, or March, the first week in April, I will do a drawing and I will get those out to you. Okay, I think that's the administrativeness, if I'm not mistaken. So let's do it like really reverso changeo. Let's do actual knitting and spinning, and then I'll talk about the knitting pipeline retreat and all the stuff I bought. And then I'll talk about my woundedness. So dramatic. Actually, it was kind of dramatic, but now I'm okay. I'm getting better every day. Okay, so I finished my Find Your Fade shawl. I finished it in time for the knitting pipeline retreat. Now, I did not fancily block mine, meaning like I did not, use wires or a mat or anything like that. But I did wash it. What happened? I accidentally moved my Adobe Acrobat. What happened? But anyway. So I did not like lay it out prettily and pin it or use wires or anything. But this is my Find Your Fade shawl, and that is a pattern by Renee. I'm guessing it's Drearennee. And I know everybody's doing them, so I'm not like original or anything. But I can't do. Okay, that's how we do it. I'm sorry. trying to figure out which side was the upside, which side was the downside. Okay, so we start here. This is some Hedgehog fibers in Monet. Then there's some Impossible to Find Cakewalk, which it was Aztec something or other. There's some Miss Babs Deep Sea Jellyfish. And then there is some Spun Right Round Sugar Pop Fizz. And then there's some Madeline Tosh Maple Leaf. And then there's some Ancient Stash, which was Quaere fiber, sorry, and it's like the doctor's Tardis, the doctor's Monet Tardis. I don't know. It feels like there was like a Tardis and maybe a Monet reference, but it's been okay. And then there's some Madeline Tosh, like deep blue. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, so yeah, that's it, yo. So here's the deepest point. Here, we'll show you this way. So here's the deepest point. It's crazy big. Do you want to wear an Afghan? Yes, I do. But it must have 75 different colors in it, or otherwise I'm not interested. Okay, okay. So fancy. Right. And now, of course, Mr. Stephen West. By the way, in case you've been living in a cave for the last few weeks, and you didn't know that Mr. Stephen West released a new video, you need to go to his YouTube channel and check it out. Because there's a new video. Just saying. You need to watch it. I may have seen it for the first time in the hotel lobby of the Super 8 in Washington, Illinois. And I'm sure there were some muggles nearby who were like, what is going on? If I could wear a viewing screen of it, I would. It might be the solution to everybody's sadness. They might be like, we're giving you Zoloft, but also before that, let's just let you watch the Stephen West video and see if that doesn't do the trick. That's what I'm saying. Pharmaceuticals company might be trying to keep him down because he might eat into their profit margins. Like Pac-Man. Anywho, so go check it out, okay? Oh, but so he's doing a mystery cow that's like a marled magic mystery cow that's 700 to 800 grams, and I'm like, Mr. West! I don't have... Okay, I clearly have 700, 800 grams of craziness to play with, but like, I feel like I just did like a crazy scrappy straw, and I'm like, So I'm gonna let people forge ahead on that one, and then just sneak in maybe later. I did buy the pattern. Because there's so many good pictures on Instagram of their like piles of yarn they're going to use. They look so good. I think that's how I got tricked into making this too, but I'm easily tempted. Okay, that's true. But back to this actual thing that I'm wearing. I totally dig it. I am a big lady though. I think if you were like a 5'0" lady, this might be a lot of shawl for you to wear. Maybe not. But you know, I'm 5'8" and I'm a big lady. So to me it's like, okay, this is a lot, but not a lot. I can totally do it, okay? So I'm very excited about it. And I weighed mine and it weighs like 405 grams or something like that. So even though the shawl uses or is written for 7 skeins, I believe. 7, I think, right? The points you don't use very much on. It was very fun to knit. I totally dug it. I actually at no point was like, I am over this. Towards the end I was just trying to finish because I wanted to wear it to Knitting Pipeline Retreat. But I wasn't upset about it or anything like that. It was enjoyable the whole way. There's a combination of things I think that make that so. Your longest row is never more than like, I can't remember the exact number, but it's no more than 250 stitches. So even though this thing is huge, the way it's constructed, no row is ever crazily long. Like you don't have that like Stephen West pit of doom where you're like, Mr. West, there are now 800 stitches on this needle and I'm questioning my love of you for just a minute. But like it's legitimate, this questioning. So there's never that moment that happens. And then of course you're constantly changing colors because you're changing colors, and then there's also like, so you're like doing garter and then you're doing the garter where you're interchanging your colors. and then doing a tiny bit more garter, and then you're doing this like meshy bit, and then you do that. You keep doing that over and over and over again. So it's enough going on that you're like, oh, I'm just gonna make it to the end of this part. But it's not so much going on that you're like, dude, I can't even do that next section because I'm gonna have to learn something. Do you know what I mean? That made me sound really brain lazy, but you know what I mean. You don't have to like learn something new in the middle of a movie. I'm like, dude, nope, you just continue on. So, and if you are smaller or you just like want to make a smaller one, and I think I will, like, because I just enjoy the process. You can totally make this thing smaller. Basically, what you're doing is you're increasing on either side of a triple decrease, and then at some point, at any point, you could decide to make the transition. And what gets you to the other, just to making, so then you're like doing this, and when you want to do this, that's when you stop increasing on one side and just keep increasing on the other. So what happens is, this is the other thing that makes it satisfying. That triple decrease in the middle starts consuming stitches on one side of your needle. So one side gets longer as the other side is proportionately getting smaller. So again, your stitch count stays the same overall. It's just unbalanced on either side of that triple decrease. So it's very fun to see those, I don't know, I find it satisfying to see those stitches on one side being consumed by that decrease. So anyway, at any point you could decide to stop increasing and make that transition happen, and you would have a smaller shawl. Just a thought. So you totally can make it smaller. At the knitting pipeline retreat, there are like 3 or 4 birds going crazy outside the window, and the way the light is coming in, it's a shadow, so it's very distracting. Anyway, at the knitting pipeline retreat, did I write down who it was? I don't think I did because I'm not that clever. I didn't write it down. I know I didn't. One person had taken 4 skeins and used 4 skeins for hers. So she started with a point, and then, just used, and then, so she used color A, color B, color C, color D, color C, color B, color A. And that looked really good. So if you don't have like a bunch of, randomly sized skeins because you're like a wizard or something, or maybe you do like that sock yarn blanket or something, hers looked really awesome with just the 4 full skeins. Maybe, you might need to gauge and whatnot. Mine was like, I think 404 grams or something like that. So that's a very good idea. Yay her, she's very clever. Okay, so I think that's all about this project. I hope that's all. That's all I've got. So anyway, I really enjoyed it. There were not a ton of ends to weave in because I just wove them in as I went. And I didn't weave them in like with a needle, but I just kind of like carried the yarn and tucked it under as I was going down the row. And so there was no weaving in to get at the end. There was just each point, so that worked really well. That's all I needed to do. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so then the next thing, I have another finished object. These are Afterthought heel socks from Christmas. Yes, it's March. Stop judging me. Go ahead, I don't care. This is Nomadic yarns in her Twisty Sport base. And I apologize. I thought I had the tag in there, but I don't. It's a Christmas colorway, and I will attempt to remember to put it in the show notes. But I don't think it's for sale anymore at her shop. Although she has 2 colors that are currently tempting me intensely. Right. What? So this is just a plain toe-up Afterthought heel sock. Yes, I did say that this is her Twisty Sport. One thing I like about her yarns is that she does do some that are like ready to ship, but she also does do dye to order. So if you like a different base, or you just, want to be able to buy sock yarn and not have to stock and update, or stripey sock yarn and not have to stock and update, so that's an option for you. But yay them. Aren't they super cute? She's got a Valentine's Day colorway and this other one that's like navy blue and like this bright aqua. Oh, it's like lake something or other. So tempting. So anyway, the sports socks are so fun. And these are an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. So I know the only thing that's saving me from buying more is like the realities of dollars and things. But mainly it's because I gave away the other pairs I've made with her sport, which may just be one pair. I think maybe just one pair. But I don't think I've actually worn any of them, so I just want to see how they wear before I commit to more. But I'm clearly going to, because this color is so good. So I think that's actually all of my finished objects. It's just those two. Oh, and I have this much. I just wanted to show you. I have this much left. I'm a size 11 and I have wide feet. So even with the sport yarn, even though it's not 400 yards by, I don't remember. I think it's like 350 or maybe it's 360, but I still have yarn left. And I don't do a really high cuff, but still. Okay? Okay. So there's those. I get to wear them now. Yay. And then the only other knitting I will show you is one pair of socks that I have finished half of. And this, here, I'll show you the yarn first. I don't know what's going on with me in pink lately. It's out of control. This is Ontheround. This is her signature sock yarn, which is an 80-20 superwash merino nylon mix. It's 3-ply and 410 yards. I don't think I've used this. I've definitely not used her yarn before. This is my first of hers. But I don't think I've used this yarn base before from another dyer. It's 3-ply and it is much, well, here, I have a skein of it. It is not as tightly plied as many sock yarns. So it is very poofy. This one is silver lining tweed. It's very, very poofy and airy. So I'm interested to see how it'll wear, but it was very enjoyable to knit with. I liked it quite a lot. But here, like just as an example, like for example, here is another Crafty Girl, which is wonderful, beautiful yarn. And a 2-ply that's also 80-20 instead of the 3-ply. But you can just see the volume of the skein is much different. And that's, this one is just plied more snugly than this one. This one is this almost feels like it's woolen spun or something. So I'm a little bit, concerned about how it's going to wear for socks. But I am optimistic because, well, I just like her dye technique. Looks very pretty. And I will say her dye technique, to me, I did not like it very, not like I was anti it in the skein, but it just didn't strike me in the skein. And then she started posting, she knit little toes, and she started posting those on her Instagram account, and I was like, well, I need that. So she got me. She got me. I think that happens sometimes when there's not, rescanning is such a pain for dyers to have to do. Ugh. I would never want to do it. But it does, again, this in the skein I was just not that drawn to, but look how cute it is. What? So this is, this is, this is Kay from, oh my gosh, Bakery Bears. I was like, I just could not think of it all of a sudden. This is Kay Jones from the Bakery Bears podcast. And this is her podcast, her pattern, Prairie socks. Yes, okay. It is a pay-for pattern. And I will completely confess that I just knit it because I loved her picture on Instagram so much. Which is this project photo, which you cannot see. Whatever, just go to Ravelry and buy the dang thing. But look how cute they are. Right. Now the stitch, the texture, I mean, it doesn't show up 100% of the speckly yarn, but it's enjoyable to knit. It's like that good amount of there's something going on, but not enough that you have to think about it, but it keeps you moving. I knit these on 0 double points, which actually made my tension on double points on carbons. But my tension on double points tends to be tighter than it is on Magic Loop, which is my typical sock method. I've just lost my needles. Where'd they go? Oh, they just fell. Okay. Sorry, guys. Oh, so these are carbons. I like them quite a bit. They're much duller than the Chow Goo red lace, which is what I usually use. But I find it very helpful to have an option on a duller needle, because if you do tend to poke yourself with the pointier needles, it's good to have another project to alternate back and forth with. And for some reason, I just was like in the mood for double points. It happens every once in a while. So because I'm on double points and I tend to have tighter gauge on double points, these socks are actually 9 stitches to the inch. And so for my grandma, I started to cast them on, and I was knitting on them at Knitting Pipeline with 56 stitches, but they looked really super tiny. So when I got home, I slid them on my kid's foot, who, while has a giantly long foot, has a super skinny foot, and they seem a little snug. So I ripped those out and then started with 64 instead. Because again, I didn't realize how much tighter my gauge was on the double points. I love the sock, right? I just keep holding it up. I mean, I definitely wanted to go for my mail all, but I secretly want a pair for me too. Did I say this is the Sweetheart colorway? I probably didn't. I didn't, because I got distracted by the yarn base and having. So again, this is Ontheround in her signature sock yarn, and this is the colorway Sweetheart. Oh, I love it. So yeah, I haven't even cast on the second one, but I will. Okay, so that's all the knitting and spinning I will show you. I will now do Knitting Pipeline retreat talk, combined with showing you all the ridiculous things I've bought. The market is 1 hour. Whatever. It was fun. So what did I want to tell you about the Knitting Pipeline retreat? Were you there? Did you have a good time? Okay. So I did that. Okay. So even though the retreat is only from Friday afternoon, Friday afternoon to late Saturday, not late, like evening, early evening Saturday, late afternoon, early evening. Even though it's only that long, there were several classes and breakout sessions. There were some that I did not go to, and I didn't technically go to Heidi, who is Yarn Hoarder daughter, the Yarn Hoarder's daughter of the Yarn Hoarder podcast. But I didn't get to go to hers because I was actually talking with somebody else. But I heard rave things about Heidi's. She did a needle felting snowman class, and everybody's snowmen and snow ladies were so super cute. So it was really fun that not only people got to learn a new technique, and that they got to learn it from a young person, because all of this multi-generational teaching is so useful in life. But it was also just really fun to see the snowmen like hanging out at the retreat, because it happened on the Friday. So we got to see them through the whole weekend, which was very exciting. But Bronwyn did a class on her rope bowls she's been making. If you remember, around Christmas time, she was doing them for Bronwyn's Handmade Christmas. And they're using clothesline. And you just used the zigzag stitch on your sewing machine, and you just basically sew this clothesline coiled into, and you can make all sorts of different wessels that are not watertight wessels. They're just wessels. But you can make all sorts of bows, and really the only color in them is the thread, which is really a neat effect, because you can get these very beautiful muted tones from the thread, because again there's that white that's showing throughout. I mean, they're very lovely. So that was really good. And then, and I apologize, I did not think to write down, but somebody offered a needle tasting. which was like an SSK level needle tasting. It was awesome. She had 4 tables or 3 tables, but she had tables of needles set up, and it was so cool. She had them all labeled, but she also had a comment card where you could like rank how rate what you thought of the needle, and then make a comment like, I like these, but the points were too dull for me, or I didn't like the cable on these, was too stiff, or isn't that cool? So it was so fun just to go, and I didn't fall in love with any needles, which is a good thing. So I can stick to my ChiaoGoo red laces and ChiaoGoo red lace interchangeables. But it's always fun to be able to go try those things because, then I didn't have to buy a new set of needles just to try them out. I was able to just be like, these are nice, but not so much in love. And the collage needles, those square ones, I found out I hated them when I used them. I was so disappointed because I bought a couple pairs that were like hat sizes, and I hated them. But they've changed their cord now. Their cord used to be really grippy. Like it was like a rubbery kind of cord, and it was very grippy. But now they've changed it where it's a similar texture. It's nice. It's a nice cord actually, but it's much slicker now. So that was cool. So now I know that if I do want to try those again, I might be interested. Like if I'm having fatigue or something like that. But anyway, this is cool. Very good. So yay, that. And then, what else did I want to talk about? Oh, so these are weird things, okay? Okay. So here are those weird things that I like about going to retreats that I don't always remember, but this time I did. It's just really nice to be around a large number of humans that you don't otherwise get to be around and just observe them. Like, not in a creepy way, but you're just looking at these other people and you're looking at them in a closer proximity because, you're actually talking to them and they're not like way across the restaurant or something like that. So you're having more intimate space interaction between other people, and maybe this is just vanity, but it's nice to see other people and to see that they, for example, lately I have just been not stressed, but for the last few years I've noticed that I have some capillary breakage in my cheeks, and it's maybe been there longer and I just never noticed it. And like I've been like, I don't want to say embarrassed about it, but I've thought, what did I do to make that happen? And like, is that because I've not been healthy and done something weird? And so I've been sort of like, not self-conscious about what other people might think about it, but I've just been like, kind of like, about that. And I saw several people who had the same thing, and I was like, oh, that's not something that's just like wrong with me. That's like a total thing that happens to lots of people. Well, 2 other people, but in a room of 140 or something, that's not bad odds. So just like little things like that. It's just really nice to be around a lot of different people that you're just sharing space with and interacting with. And tiny things like that are just like, oh, okay. Cute, not alone. Good. I know, maybe that's weird. So, let's see. So then also it's really, I was talking about like when Heidi, because Heidi is, I apologize Heidi, I don't know how old you are. But Heidi is like under 15. So she's a very young woman. And it's just really awesome to be around, and there's not a ton of women there that are younger than me. But there's a lot of women there, or there's a significant amount of women there who are older than me, and that is also really awesome. Because in my normal everyday peer group, we don't have a big diversity of age. I mean, we have a little bit, but not a huge difference in our age range. It's just really nice to be around other women who are further along in life's track than you are, so that you just have different examples of what it can be like to be a certain age. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not just, centering my reference around what my mother is doing or what my grandmother is doing. Or, we have these women at these different places, and it's just great to see a bigger example of what that can be. For example, Babs Butterfly. Oh my gosh, have you been following her on Instagram? She's on this crazy Amazonian trip. So while we're at the Knitting Pipeline retreat, we're like, oh my gosh, did you see that Babs Butterfly is totally on Machu Picchu with some llamas and she's knitting? Oh my gosh, Babs, did you see that Babs Butterfly totally caught a piranha and ate it? It's just like, she's knitting on a boat on the Amazon. Stephen West made a new video. It's just really awesome that you get to experience all these different paths and then they just intersect in this random place in Washington, Illinois. It's so exciting. Yay! So anyway, there was another thing I was going to talk about, but it's deeper, and I don't think I can do it right now. But in short, it's also just really awesome to be around other people who challenge you as a human being. And I don't mean challenge you like as in, dude, you are challenging my ability to function right now. You're making me crazy. And I mean challenge you in that the way they interact with you makes you want to be a better person. And like, maybe that's not something that I personally am able to deal with. Like that tension, that pull to be better. Like maybe I'm not able to deal with that with like a friendship that I interact with on a weekly basis. I don't interact with anybody on a weekly basis, let's forget that. But you know what I mean? Sometimes it's hard to be challenged to be a better person and to reflect back and to reflect on what you are, and not in a self-hatred-y way, but just in a real, honest, distanced way, and to see, what places that you want to improve and places that you want to be better. And it's wonderful to have an opportunity to be around people who can not only give you those challenges, not directly in any way, but, can place you in a place where you can think about those challenges and what you want to make of your life, but who also accept you for what you are now. And like, I'm infinitely grateful that I have those opportunities in my life because it feels like they're a rarity and I am grateful for them. So let's talk about some stuff because I'm welling up. Okay. Hi, Olive. Olive is laying in the sunshine right here. You didn't have to get up. I'm sorry. Okay, so Knitting Pipeline Retreats market is literally like an hour and a half long. Somehow I have more stuff from that than I had from Rhinebeck, which was, 2 whole days, but whatever. So there are vendors, a vendor's market, and then there's also vendors set up in the, like the communal space. And they're on the edges. It doesn't feel pushy at all. There's no like direct announcements of like sales or anything like that. It is very low key. It is I didn't look at the vendors on the other side just because I never made it there. So it's not like it's pressury at all. But there was a store set up, and I think it's called, I'll put her title in. She's in Bloomington, Illinois, and it's something like Moulin Rouge knitting or something like that. But I'll put it in the show notes. Please let me remember to do that. She had a whole shelf system of stinking hedgehog fibers, and I just finished this stupid thing, which has the tiniest point in hedgehog fibers, but it was a very luxurious point to knit. So I fell down. Ow. I got these 3, but there was also a brown, but I didn't buy the brown. That's virtuous of me, right? Because I knew I had one at home. And you're like, don't you have like 75 skeins of gold yarn? I do, but none of them were like this one. I felt a little guilty buying it as a retreat, but then I got home and I was like, oh, none of my golds are that yellow. That was a wise choice. But anyway, I got to go with this brown. What? See? Like, oh, yeah. But bam, you put the brown with it? Oh, it ties it together. So I don't know what this will be, but it will be something beautiful. This, by the way, I have no idea what this is. It is tagless. I believe it's woolen rabbit something or other, but who knows. So this is all Hedgehog fibers in her sock. This is Merlot. This is Film Noir. And this is a pollen. Pollen bought at Paula's Retreat. I'm just saying, but so those 4 go together in my head somewhere. Trust me, I've already looked at several patterns. Don't get me wrong. Then, oh my gosh. Oh, so of course I got my knitting pipeline retreat bag, of which I now have 5. Oh, I don't mind to be a glutton sometimes. Just saying. Okay. Okay. What do I show you now? I don't even know. Okay, so in your treat bag, you get 2 skeins of Quince Finch. Oh no. And I got a new color this year, which I love, and it's Fox. Surprise, I love that color. It's orangey brown. I really do love it. That is a good color, Quince. So I'm very excited about that. And then technically, I think I traded for everything else. So it doesn't really count, right? So from Yarn Geek Fibers, I have Super Geek in her, oh, this is her Super Geek base, which is 3-ply fingering, 75% Corriedale, 25% nylon, which is very similar to the 80-20 in terms of its loftiness. So the ply structure is very similar to that Ontheround yarn I showed you, if you've ever knit with the 75-25 one. And then this is To Boldly Go, which is her Star Trek colorway. So come on, of course I got that. It's gray with all the shirts. Right. I did that. And then from Mr. Leadingman Fiber Arts, I traded for these. Okay, first of all, I traded for, this is Man of Mystery and their Spotlight base, which is 80% Superwash BFL, 20% nylon. So it will either be socks or something amazing, because look at that blue, it's so good. Alright. But then look at these 2 things together. This is their Dramaturg base, which is their DK base, which I enjoy quite a bit. It's 250 yards, 115 grams of 100% Superwash merino. This is Gothic Queen, and this is Black Walnut. And they are, this is brown. It's showing up a little bit more lavendery, but who knows? When I do the post editing, lots of times they get right back to normal. But right. I love that. Right. And then from Dyeabolical, it's her first time there. And I love her 90% Superwash Targhee, 10% nylon base. So this one is Wit Beyond Measure in her watercolor stripes, which is 115 grams, 430 yards. It's really good. It's navy and brown watercolor stripes. Oh. And then there's this one, which is Quaere, and it's also watercolor stripes. So, I got those 2. I really love this base. I want to knit all of the socks. I may have cast on a sweater. Accidentally. But when I was at the retreat, I was like, I'm just going to knit socks for like a month. I just want to get some socks knit. Everything is so amazing. I don't know. So then from Knit Spin Farm, I bought some Corriedale fiber that is specifically dyed by her to do the 3-ply 2 ways. And it is on my wheel right now. I have got the ply done that's 2 ounces that will be for the chain ply. And then I have 1 2/3 of an ounce bobbin done, and I'm working on the second one, and the third one has just started. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about it. But I'm very excited about that. But I didn't bring it to show you because I'll show you when it's actually finished, which hopefully will be next time. But I also got this. This is her Superwash Targhee in the Drinking, Fencing, and Swearing colorway, which is a Hamlet reference. Look at that. I don't have anything in those colors. Of course I needed to get that. Come on. Let's not be ridiculous. Right? It's gorgeous. I might have also accidentally... She had an update with Clara. Oh, I can't remember now. But she had Martha. But who's the other one? And she had an update with her 3 beautiful sheepses roving. And so I had to get some of that. And then there was a bag there that none of you had bought yet, even though I insistently was thinking that somebody needed to buy it. But you just left it there, so I had to get it. Because Joanna's bags are awesome. I do zippers, she does drawstrings, and hers are my favorite drawstring bags because they are the cloth drawstrings. And they are not interfaced, so you can scrunch them up and you can wash them, and they come out beautifully every time, so I had to buy that. But anyway, so yeah, that's all. I mean, come on. But kind of technically I traded for everything, because even the Hedgehog, she ended up buying bags. So I mean, I feel like in my heart, there's really no reason that trading makes it better, but it kind of does a little bit. I just didn't have my defenses up. Because you know, when you're getting ready for a big thing like Rhinebeck, you're like, okay, I'm going to buy yarn for these things, and I don't need anything else. And then you go to Knitting Pipeline, you're like, oh, I don't have to get my defenses up. The market's only an hour. Oops. I bought a bajillion pounds of yarn. It all fits in the bag, though, so that's so not an excuse. Okay, so then for the rest of the show, which will just be a few minutes, but in case you were wondering about this, I'll tell you. But if you're not wondering, then I'll talk to you next time. If you are wondering, so I kind of like couldn't decide if I should tell you what I did or not, because like there's this weird fine line between like personal oversharing and not. Like I don't have a good sense of where that line is, so I'll just let you know what happened. Also, I knew you would see this and be like, what did you do? And then it would be more weird to answer in an email-y thing. But anyway, so Wednesday after the pipeline retreat, right? Well, whatever. A week ago last Wednesday. So it's been like 12 days. I don't even know what day of the week it is. Friday? Okay, so it's actually been like 10 days ago. I decided to make yogurt in my Instant Pot. So if you don't know what Instant Pot is, it is an electric pressure cooker. And if you've never made yogurt before, I've made it on the stovetop a bajillion times. Basically what you do is you take your milk and you bring it up to 180 degrees. And then some people just let it cool down at that point. I like to hold it there for like 8 to 10 minutes and then bring it back down. I find that it helps at the end your consistency to be a little thicker, like if you're not going to strain it or whatever. So usually I just do that on the stove. And then, okay, so you hold it at 180 for, 8 to 10 minutes, something like that. And then you turn off the heat and you bring it down to 115. You can do that like in an ice bath, or you can just let it sit. And when it gets down to 115, then you inoculate it with yogurt, which has live cultures. You can buy yogurt starters. They're like a powdered thing, but you can just use 2 tablespoons of any yogurt that you have that's still viable and good in the refrigerator. And then you stir that up, get that inoculant distributed throughout the yogurt or throughout the milk, and then you essentially incubate and let that yogurt culture grow, and then it makes yogurt for you. And there's lots of different ways you can incubate it. You can incubate it on a heating pad. You can incubate it in an actual yogurt maker. You can do it in a crock pot. You can do it in an oven turned like at a certain really low temperature. There's a million different ways you can do it. One of the Instant Pot's features is that it has a function where you can just put your cold milk into the pot, press this yogurt, there's a couple of buttons you have to push, but it brings the temperature up to 180, and then you can let it cool down, inoculate it, and then it'll set it for incubation. So you can do it in just one pan versus a pan to heat and a pan to incubate and grow the culture. And that sounded good. And it still sounds good, but I messed up. So before I go any further, let me say that Instant Pot is in no way responsible for my injuries. They are completely my fault. They are not something that will happen accidentally to you. It was an anomalous thing. Okay, so I put the milk in the pot. I set it to boil because that's what the little screen says is boil. It didn't quite get up to 180. It was only like at 176. So I tried it again. Still didn't get quite up to what I would like it to be. So I thought, okay. And you have the lid on in these cycles, but you have them open. You don't have it pressurizing, so you have it opened to vent. Sorry, my mom called. Okay, so you have the thing open so it doesn't pressurize. Well, what happened is it wouldn't come up to temperature, so I went off the books. I went ahead and was like, okay, well, it won't come up. I'll put it on the saute, which will maybe heat it a little bit hotter, like it'll, you know. And of course, I can't do one thing at a time, so I didn't just stand there and leave the lid open and stir it or anything like a smart person would do. I had to like come in here and make some handles for some soda order bags. So the next thing I do, I hear it sputtering. So I go in there and I'm like, oh no, I'm burning this milk. And let me also discuss, this is not even like real grass-fed, awesome milk. This is full on like Aldi's half a gallon of milk. It's like $1 worth of milk, okay? Oh no, I can't let this milk burn because A, that'll waste a whole $1 worth of milk. And B, it'll also waste all those cows' time. And a lot of water and lots of other things. And B, it will burn on this bottom of this stupid pot, and like milk burnt is so hard to clean. I don't know if you've had to clean it, but ugh. So the first thing I did is just threw a towel over the valve because of course it's sputtering milk all over. And I'm like, I gotta get this open. So, and it's, again, I'm not setting it to pressure, so I don't have to really think anything about it. But I think what happened is that the milk proteins probably bound together and kind of like essentially kind of clogged up the valve. And so it did go under pressure. So it was not fully under pressure because like I could kind of rotate the lid, but I must have like leaned down on the lid or something. Or I just had like, you know, car flipping emergency adrenaline strength. Because, you know, that happens, right? Anyway, what I should have done is just walked away from the stupid thing and been like, oops, I just ruined $1 worth of milk and I'm probably going to clean that. It's going to be a pain in the neck. That is what you should do if this happens to you. So I went to open it, and also never open that thing unless it just like, boop, opens. Like, don't use any strength, people. I used some strength to open it, and the scalding milk basically just came out in like a big milk bubble because it's under pressure. It's pushing against the outside of the vessel, right? It's pushing, pushing, pushing. So then dummy Hulk me opens the lid, and it's pushing, pushing, pushing. Oh, the lid's open. So it wasn't quite like that, but it was like, whoa. It was like that. So luckily it did not get me anywhere in my face because it wasn't like, bah. It was just like, whoa. It was kind of lazy. It was like, you know, it was American milk bottle. Luckily it was not made from grass-fed milk because it probably would have gone like, yeah, I'm strong and vital. Luckily it was like sad factory milk. It was just like, whoa. So it did that and it splashed. Luckily I was also wearing a jacket and a shirt, like a hoodie like this, but my hand was not covered. So it came out on my hand and then it bubbled out on my boobs. So it was not funny when it happened. It's really not even funny in hindsight, but you know, you gotta kind of laugh at your own idiocy. There was screaming. There was freaking out in this. Luckily, my child was not home, so she did not see me freak out. But I was able to strip everything off, put myself under the kitchen faucet, and it was kind of scary. I wasn't sure what was happening or what was going to happen. But after about 40 minutes in the just trying, like the animal mind where you're just like trying to get yourself together, my kid came home, and then we went to urgent care, and the ladies at urgent care were super awesome, and they did some first aid on me and wrapped me up really good and told me I should go to the emergency room, at which point I said, really, it's already like 7 o'clock and my kid has been in the waiting room for like an hour at least, and like school's tomorrow and stuff. And they said, yeah, we get it. So then they sent me home with a prescription for pain medication and indicated that I should go see my doctor or that they would refer me to wound care. I said, I will go see my doctor because I'm not really super sure. Like, I'm very pale, right? Like, I'm very fair skinned. So I was thinking that maybe, and it did, it looked like way worse than it was because all of my skin was flushed from, even if it wasn't burnt, it was just flushed from like, you know. So they assessed me with what I thought was a higher burn percentage than I really had. And by the way, these are all 2nd degree burns. Superficial. No like craziness. 2nd degree. So I went to my doctor, and it was too late. I was like, I couldn't think about like how they were going to know if the insurance, the place where they referred me to, would take my insurance. I was just like, I'll just go to my doctor. So I get an appointment with my doctor the next morning. She like looks at me and I have dressings on and says, I don't want to look at it. No, she didn't say that. But she said, like, I started to peel a corner of the dressing and she was like, nope, put it back. I'm referring you to wound care. So then so that was a Thursday morning. My wound care appointment was not till 11 on Monday. But it was okay because luckily, and let me just discuss, there are so many things that could have been so much worse about this situation. So much. It could have been a viscous fluid or a viscous substance that I couldn't get off of me really quickly. I could have had synthetic fibers on that could have, I don't think they would have melted at that temperature, but you know what I mean? Like there was nothing crazy like that. Where I got hurt has been ideal because just my sacks of yellow fat, if you watch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, just my sacks of yellow fat got wounded. So they don't really do much anymore. They're just hanging out. And it was only the tops of them. So I don't even have like any like skin on skin issues. So helpful. Mostly it's like mostly this way that I'm wounded. So my arms can even touch and I'm not crying or anything. My hand, only the top of my hand, people. Only the top. Just the whole top of my hand. My fingers are A-okay. My thumb is mostly okay. It's a little bit sore down here, but whatever. But like no palm, so I can flex. I can knit. I can spin. I can't magic loop right now because that's not comfortable. But I can do all of those things. Could have happened my kid was there. My husband was home when it happened. So like it could have been a gabillion times worse. Gabillion. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. So I won't lie, it was a rough few days, but I go to a wound care specialist, and so I appreciate any thoughts of like helpful hints about burn stuff, but the ladies at the wound care specialist are taking care of me in a great way. And so I don't want any more information because this path is really working and I don't want to get overwhelmed by other possibilities and then like freak out. Okay. So I'm on a very good path. I just went again yesterday and she actually like squeed a little bit about how well I'm doing. So I'm pretty much like an awesome skin maker. I'm just saying. I'm really good at that apparently. I didn't know. Did you know? Go body. you're going to make it skin. So I'm doing good. Getting better every day. And I should be like completely super fantabulous so good in just a little while. And they don't think I'm going to scar at all or anything. I was like, dude, my boobs, please. They're like 90% stretch mark. I'm not worried about it. What? They're going to re-scar the scar? It'll be fine. But yeah, so everything is good. Everything's good. So my only advice is, I got back on the horse. I made yogurt in the Instant Pot. It was fine. I will continue to use it. Just don't ever force the lid. Clearly, like I should know that, right? I'm sure it was like in big bold print somewhere. But I just wasn't thinking in the moment because, you're like, ah. So if you're ever having a moment where you're like, ah, just remember, don't force the lid open. Go away. Let it be. Let it be. So it's not Instant Pot's fault. It's not Pressure Cooker's fault. I made a mistake, which I will never make again. And I've already made yogurt in it, so it's fine. So yay, that. Okay. I think that's all. Did I go over a line of overshare? I don't know. Universe will judge me. It's fine. But if there was something wrong with you, I would want to know. I'd be like, what did you do to yourself if I saw you? And you would be like, oh my God. And I'd be like, tell me more. That's how it happened. So anyway, kooky wacky. So next time I will show you more of what I'm knitting on, and I will show you some finished objects that other people finished and gave me, because they're super cute and you might want to know about them. But I just try not to keep this episode so a million years long. So I'll talk to you next time. Bye.